Hi, my name's Robert Cortese, and making a video here that's sort of a recap on the whole Rittenhouse thing and what would prompt me to do a video. Well, last week I broke my hand. Ow, fuck, that hurts. um, but I'm getting tired of typing the same shit over and over again. So I'm going to make a video. We're going to go through this real quick. Let's start with the first knucklehead I had to deal with today that really pissed me off. Uh, so here we have a lady I know who, um, rather than she was, oh, no justice in America, this and that, rather than giving a uh, real response, she said, I'm mansplaining my facts. And just another example of another privileged white guy's opinion. Not interested, thanks. Well, Jen, I hate to break it to you, but you're not liked by people of color either. You're what they call a model minority. And considering you went to Berkeley, you're probably more privileged than I am. So, if all you can do is sit there and say mansplaining, you're basically saying that you don't have a proper response. You have no rebuttal. And, it just shows Berkeley didn't do anything for you. That being said, let's go ahead and get on to this whole shenanigan here. So, what actually started these riots? Well, so there was a man named Jacob Blake, and let me just kind of move myself out of the way here. There was a man named Jacob Blake, and a warrant was issued for him for third-degree sexual assault. And what actually happened was he went to his ex-girlfriend's house, and he raped her, and she turned him in, which is why my mind's having a hard time processing what Jen said, because, we're talking about mansplaining and feminism, but here these riots started when a man decided to rape his ex-girlfriend. That's how stupid this is. So, Jacob Blake rapes his ex-girlfriend. The police, she files a restraining order. He finds out. He shows up at her house pissed off because now she turned him in, and there's a restraining order, and the police are there. And what happens next? Well, so the police try to stop him. They try to use non-lethal force. They taser him twice. It doesn't work. He tells them, I got a knife in my car. He goes to his car to get that knife, and that's when they shoot him. And if you don't believe me, this is the video right here. This is what happened. So you can see him walking around his car, and he's opening it up, and they shoot him. So let's hit pause on that real quick. So yeah, it was a tragic situation. Mr. Blake, though, wasn't exactly a innocent participant here. He wasn't a model citizen. He had just hurt a woman a week before. He raped a woman, and then he went back there to give her shit because she turned him in. So, there's this Chris Rock video I absolutely love, how not to get your ass kicked by the police. I'm going to play a clip for that real quick.
Have you ever been face to face with a police officer and wondered, is he about to kick my ass?
I have.
No more. If you follow these easy tips, you'll be fine. First, obey the law.
Obey the law.
Laws were made for a reason.
That's right.
Think of them as hints. You heard people say, man, I wouldn't do that shit if I was you. Well, here's some of that shit.
Tell me, Chris.
Carjacking, armed robbery, arson, selling drugs, buying drugs, stabbing, shooting. You probably won't get your ass kicked if you just use common sense.
So Chris talks about common sense here. Let's say somebody just accused me of rape and I didn't rape them, but they got a restraining order on me. common sense would be don't go near that fucking person. Wait till this all washes out in court and I get my day in front of a jury. Don't go over there and harass them. And Mr. Rock can add rape to that list as well. So, as you saw, the police shot Mr. Blake, and what followed in Kenosha was people, they basically had a party. They burned shit, they looted shit, they're breaking into Foot Locker, getting free sneakers, and, it was absolute chaos. Now, there was some people that were a part of this that were against the police. But the three main actors, let's talk about the four main actors here. You have Grosskruetz, known as the guy who got his arm blown off. Now, a lot of people like to talk about how Rittenhouse crossed state lines. Well, Grosskruetz came from West Dallas, Wisconsin. He drove all the way down from West Dallas that night, and that's a 47-minute drive. West Dallas is kind of a well-to-do area, all white, not a lot of POC there. The next person we're going to talk about here is Rosenbaum. Earlier in the day, Mr. Rosenbaum had been released from a mental hospital for a suicide attempt. He's got a really nasty criminal record. He raped 5 boys that were under 10. This man is a piece of shit. And some people say, hey, that has no bearing on him getting shot, blah, blah, blah. You know what? What goes around comes around. That's the way I see that. And finally, we have Rittenhouse. And Rittenhouse, he didn't live 43 minutes away. He didn't live 47 minutes away or released from a mental hospital that day. He lived 30 minutes away in Antioch. And that's why it's important to put these pictures up here in these, Google timelines. Because when people say he crossed state lines, that's true, but that's not the whole story. For those of us here in the Bay Area, we're talking a trip from East San Jose to West San Jose, or, East San Jose to Campbell. 30 minutes is not that great of a distance. So all these guys show up, and they all have their different reasons for showing up. Grosskruetz, Rosenbaum, Huber, they were there that night to cause trouble and burn and loot and do bad shit. Rittenhouse, on the other hand, he shows up, and he was there to be one of the good guys. Here he is cleaning up graffiti. And another one of the things that gets brought up a lot is, his mother drove him across state lines with an AR-15. This is not true. And here's proof of that. This is a criminal complaint. What happened was when he got up there, this man here, Dominic David Black, he's a 20-year-old man from Kenosha, handed him the AR-15. It didn't belong to Kyle, didn't belong to his mom. It belonged to this Dominic David Black in Kenosha. So that's why these charges were dropped in court. That's why Kyle wasn't brought up on these charges. So that entire part of it's just completely fucking false. People are making stuff up as they go along or believing what they want to believe. But that is what happened. That is how he got this rifle. Is it right to give a 17-year-old kid an AR-15 in the middle of a riot? I wouldn't do that shit if I were you, quoting Chris Rock. I wouldn't do that shit. But whatever, it happened. And, unfortunately, it was a bad decision, and a lot of other things happened as a result. So let's keep moving on. So what led to the first shooting with Rosenbaum? Well, Rosenbaum kind of zeroed in on Kyle that night, and he kept threatening him and making threats. And here's a video from earlier in the night. Shoot me, nigga! Shoot me, nigga! What's funny is you see this black guy in the background here, like, what did you just say? um, you know, so Rosenbaum, he's a little 5'3" pedo, and he's walking around like Mr. Tough Guy, kind of like a Chihuahua, you know, like a little fucking Chihuahua, barking, trying to be fucking big, and you know, Kyle's doing his best, you know, not to put up with it. So what? Besides that, what actually sparked him to start chasing Rittenhouse? And this is going to be the last slide because we pretty much know the rest of the story at this point. Um, so Rosenbaum set a dumpster on fire, and him and a bunch of other people were pushing the dumpster towards the police line. Kyle ran up with a fire extinguisher and put it out. That was what sparked Rosenbaum into chasing him. After Kyle fled on foot, Rosenbaum was closing in. He had something thrown at him. He heard a gunshot. He didn't know. It was dark. He was kind of cornered in between some cars. He turned around. Rosenbaum's reaching for the gun, and he shoots him 4 times. Then we see somebody else come into the frame. Rosenbaum's got a head wound. Rittenhouse runs down the street. The mob's chasing him. Anthony Huber hits him over the head with a skateboard. He shoots him. Gage Grosskruetz later comes up with his hands up like this, as Rittenhouse, you know, is kind of like stumbled and fallen. And Rittenhouse puts his rifle down, and as he does that, Gage pulls a pistol out of his back pocket. Now, mind you, he's got a felony. He's not allowed to even have a pistol. Pulls it out of his back pocket and points it at Kyle. And that's when Kyle blows his bicep off. The scene ends with Rittenhouse, hands up, trying to turn himself into the Bearcats, the police line. They just kind of let him pass through. And then the whole trial. But no matter what your personal feelings are on this, remember that this case was presented to a jury over the last few weeks. It was televised for the world to watch. And, you know, the prosecution, some people say they did a bad job. They didn't do a bad job. They didn't have the evidence to dismiss Rittenhouse claims of self-defense. And there's a difference, okay? If they were able to prove that Rittenhouse was there running around like Rambo trying to, you know, start fights, they would have had a case. But that's not what happened. What happened was they proved Rittenhouse was there to do good deeds, and starting with Rosenbaum, shit just kind of rolled downhill from there. And, you know, one of the things about Wisconsin is that it's a right to stand your ground state. If, you know, they don't have a duty to retreat. Like in California, we have a duty to retreat. We have to, if somebody's threatening our lives, we have to run the other way, unless we're positively cornered. But in Wisconsin, if you feel like your life is threatened and you're armed, you can disagree with it all you want, but the law there is you're allowed to stand your ground. So hopefully some of these facts surrounding this case, some of this history will kind of touch a nerve with some people, make sense. Jen, I'm sorry Berkeley has berserkly your brain because you obviously don't know what the facts are and you have your head so far up your ass. Why don't you tell me how it smells up there? I bet it smells like fucking shit. So anyways, peace, good night, and everybody, you know, let's stop burning shit, and if you got a problem, let's stop blocking each other and let's have some constructive dialogue. You know, it's time for this name calling bullshit to end. Peace.